Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I welcome Ryan to the show where we're going to be talking about self-confidence, the masculine and feminine energy, and living on purpose, and many, many more things. So a quick introduction to Ryan. So Ryan is a 26-year-old from the Gold Coast. He went from a business owner in the construction industry to chasing his dream to coach people all over the world to step into their highest potential, discover their purpose, and create the most meaningful life by conscious design. So, Ryan, want to welcome you to the show. I'm glad we could make this happen today. Obviously, you're really helping people design their lives, and help people live that with more purpose. What really drove you to do that? And maybe tell us a little bit about your story that perhaps I didn't just mention.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate this. And bit of background story. I won't go too deep into it, but in a nutshell, basically, I grew up really wanting to create something for myself, really wanting to create a life that really inspired me. And how that first played out was I wanted to be a professional athlete. I grew up racing motocross and I wanted to make that my life. Like that was my passion. I wanted to really make something of myself. And with that, I was in school and, I had that drive to really go out there and create something for myself. And the only way I knew how to do that, because obviously like a career in being a professional athlete in this, it's like, you need to be elite to be able to actually make really good money from it. So what I did was I left school super early. I dropped out and I became a carpenter. I jumped into the construction industry because the only way I knew how to create some sort of success financially in my life was working physically hard, because that's what my dad did. And I followed in the footsteps of him. And through that, I really went out there and tried to prove myself in the construction industry. And 21 years old, I had a successful carpentry construction business. And, this was really the beginning of me trying to become this man that I thought people wanted me to be. This was the beginning of me stepping away from who I actually was and pursuing something in order to create a life that I was conditioned that I had to do or be in order to have that kind of life for myself. I always wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to work with athletes. I wanted to be in some sort of industry where I got to help people and work with people. But that wasn't it for me, right? Based on how I grew up, it was, no, you have to go out there and you have to work physically hard, really, really, really hard, right? And that actually came from, when we look at the masculine energy, the wounded masculine, it came from a place of trying to prove myself to other people that I have what it takes to be a man. Right. And my perception, my representation of the masculine energy growing up was this man that works physically hard and comes home super late, super grumpy, and is angry all the time, and it treats women a certain way and drinks beer after work and works really, really, really freaking hard. Like that was my role model, my representation of that. So that's exactly what I started to become. And further and more and more and more, I started to build this life for myself. I was building a life that was outside of myself, that was actually outside of my truth, my authenticity, who I actually was as a person. And the more we step away from that, the more we start living a life that's not congruent to who we truly are. We start living in a body that's really, it's not ours. It's this body that we've shaped and we've built based on what we believe people want us to be, in order for us to be accepted and be loved and to be appreciated and to be respected. So many men do this, and they start living in a body that's not actually theirs. They start living in a body that's really frustrating, because the body they're living in, they've been told and they've been conditioned to suppress all the emotions that come up in that frustrating body that they're living in that's not actually theirs, right? So it just becomes a recipe for disaster, right? You're living in this body that's frustrating, that's not yours, that's inauthentic to who you truly are, to what your heart actually wants to give and be in the world. And enough of that over time, from the outside looking in, right? I was an athlete. I had successful business. I was making money. But I pushed all my friends away. I was deeply unfulfilled. I was deeply unhappy. I was broke emotionally and financially because I would spend all my money on things in order to fulfill the void that I had within me, right? In order to find and feel some sort of happiness or love within myself. So, there was a period of times when I was around 21 years old where I was in such a pit, such a hole. And I really, for a long period of time, I didn't want to be here anymore. Thought it'd be so much less painful to leave this world than it would be to stay in it. And every day was just Groundhog Day. Every day was just waking up. It's like, I got to go to this freaking job again. I got to go do this thing again. And I know so many other men or other people relate to that. And, sometimes it takes for us to step out of the picture. Like we're in the picture frame. We're in the picture. Sometimes it takes for us to step out of it to look at the picture and see the picture that we're in and that we've created for ourselves. And how that happened for me was we went on a holiday. We went overseas, right? And traveling is such an incredible thing. It brings up so many because it allows you to remove yourself from the picture, from the environment you've created, and you get to look back at your life, right? So we went overseas and I looked back at my life that I'd created in Australia, and I realized that it was deeply unfulfilling. I was unhappy in every way. My relationships were failing. I was pushing my friends away, and I recognized that I created that. And if I can create that, I can also create a deeply fulfilling, abundance, successful life as well. And I knew that in order for me to do that, I need to start fully expressing what's true on my heart's gifts, what I really want to be doing in this world. And that was coaching, mentoring, helping people, being of service, being of impact. And my first stepping stone for that was working with high-level athletes and business owners in the gym physically, helping them transform their lives physically and emotionally in the gym. And I did that for about almost 5 years. And the transformations people were having were really, really profound. And the transformations they were having were not from the physical training, but from the emotional, the mental and emotional work that we're actually doing with them. And then I knew that this was a stepping stone to the transformation and work I truly want to be doing with people. I saw myself being a thought leader in the personal development industry and space, speaking on stage, facilitating, and like really being of more service than just a personal trainer in the gym. And so almost 5 years of doing that, I decided to fully transition and go all in on fully expressing my gifts to the world, right? And I started the Inspired Project, and that's the company I now own, facilitate for the last year and a half now. Been traveling the world, been working with people all around the world, and the mission and the purpose that I now get to deliver and be is really helping people come back to themselves, discover who they actually are, removing all of the things that they've placed on themselves, right? It's like most people have armored all of these things on top of themselves and just weighed themselves down to the point where they don't even recognize who they actually are. They don't actually know who they truly are under all of the shit. So I help people really uncover layer by layer all of the things that they've packed onto themselves to cover up who they actually are. So we discover all of the things, really get clear on who they actually are at their core, from their heart, not from their wounded egoic mind, but from their heart space. And by doing that, allowing people to fully express their gifts in the world, create a life by conscious design that's deeply meaningful, where they get to experience abundance of love, abundance of happiness, abundance of joy, abundance of opportunity, right? And really go out there and create a life that's so deeply meaningful to them, that's inspiring for not only themselves, but all of the people around them. And as soon as as soon as I stepped into this, like what I am actually supposed to be doing here on this earth, everything just flourished. Everything just took off. My business took off. The opportunities just started coming so easily. And everything just, and that's what happens when we're truly aligned with what we're supposed to be doing. So that's a bit about, my journey, bit of a background story as to where I was. Obviously there's so much more in there. I've been on my personal, professional, spiritual development journey for almost 7 years now. So within that, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of healing. There's been a lot of transformation. There's been a lot of heartbreak. There's been a lot of fear, and moving through transforming that fear into love and to things that inspire me and inspire other people. So that's a bit about my journey and what's really gotten me to where I am today with the Inspired Project and the man that I am today.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ryan, for, sharing your story. There's so many things I would to pick out of there to dive into. And I think this is a conversation that could potentially go on for hours. Unfortunately, we don't have that, but there's so many parts of that were so relatable as well that I'd love to touch on. And particularly about sharing, your parts when it was actually quite a low point in life, because I've certainly experienced some very low points in life and that lack of fulfillment. And I know people I've worked with in the past and people just generally I know have commented that to me. So, it's a great inspiration for someone like you who stepped away and actually discovered what it is, what they love doing. And that's also helping other people from that place, from their heart as well. I just wanted to, we kind of touched on it, but stepping out and then actually looking at a perspective, looking at yourself and where you are, can you tell us a little bit about what the value or not of having a coach to help you with that has added for you and that you see for people?
Yeah, absolutely. There's there's so much power. I will always have a coach or a mentor to help me and guide and help me guide my own ship. Right? That's the most important part, is having a coach that helps you guide your own ship. They don't guide it for you, but they help you come back to who you are so you can listen to yourself and guide your own ship. So the most important thing is when we're so in it, having someone from an outside perspective to look at the picture that we're in currently, someone that's actually been through it before that can help, right? So just to give some context, right now I'm going through quite a challenging time, a separation, and I'm experiencing some quite profound grief that I haven't yet allowed my body to feel and move through. And with that, I was like, cool, all right, well, I know exactly what to do here. And it's to find someone who has been through this before, who is inspiring to me, who is an embodiment of who I want to step into and actually be. And how can I invest in them to help me guide my own ship to my potential? So it's like taking the ship to the port of your potential. Yeah. So coaches, all great coaches will have coaches and other mentors and people around them to help them guide their own ship, and for people to call them out on their shit, especially for men. I do a lot of work with men, and men having other conscious, embodied masculine men around them to help them stay in integrity with themselves. That's the most important part, is helping and staying in integrity with yourself. And that's guiding your own ship. But having people who have either crossed that passage before, right, that can help you and guide you to crossing the passage within yourself, to where you want to go and where you want to be. Man, having a coach is I'll never not have someone to help me guide my own ship.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And we were saying, We were saying before this, I mean, I was just talking about my coach and my somatic, my somatic work that I've got tomorrow. And somatic coach, if someone's not familiar, it's kind of deep diving into, some of the emotions that are in the body, doing a lot of body working and doing a lot deeper work than the kind of just typical mindset I found personally from it. But yeah, like for me, it was try to level up on my emotional work. And, I'd done some, and, the basic mindset done for all the Tony Robbins programs and all that. But I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to get into like breath work. And, I could have studied it and read it a bit, and I did. But it was like, ultimately, I knew I found this guy who had really worked on his emotions, really embodied it. And I was like, look, I want to work with you. And, it's accelerated my journey to be able to deliver more, more value and help more people. So I can certainly resonate with that as well. And thank you for also sharing where you're at as well. And I've been through a similar situation as well recently, but again, we're all different situations. So the fact that you've got someone to help you work through that is amazing as well. So I love that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a little bit about, you touched on it before about like getting people into their heart. And I think really want to touch on this because even the last few years, but like through humanity, there's quite a lot of fear I felt like in my life, but generally like induced on us. And kind of I've personally found I've made decisions out of fear, like rather than actually from a place of like what I felt was right. It's more like fearful. And I think there's a lot of fear induced on us, like I said, but how can we get in touch with perhaps our heart a little bit more, and therefore be able to live more from that place? Is there anything you found useful?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's about discovering, right, removing all the layers that we've packed onto ourselves. So the most powerful way to do that is to have the right people around you, right, to help you yet again guide your ship. But first and foremost, coming back to yourself is developing a relationship with the body. So getting out of the head and tuning into your body. Most people have especially in the world of mindset, of NLP and all of this, it's very head based. It's very mindset, it's very in the head. It's very disconnected from what's actually going on in the body, right? The body is there's a book out there called The Body Keeps the Score, right? The body literally keeps score of every emotion we haven't yet felt. So within the connection between the mind and the body, the brain and the body, we have what's called the vagus nerve, right? Within our nervous system. Within our nervous system, we have this nerve called the vagus nerve that connects our brain to our body. And out of that connection between brain and body, out of the messages that are sent between that, 80 to 90% of those messages are from the body to the brain. Only about 10%, 10 to 20% is from the brain to the body. So working with the body is far more powerful than just trying to change how you think, trying to change your mindset, trying to change your thoughts. So here's the thing. When we feel emotion, when there's fear in the body, we think fearful thoughts. When there's anxiety in the body, we have anxious thoughts. When there's love in the body, we have loving thoughts. So if someone's angry, it's not because someone made them angry or a situation made them angry, but it's because they already had anger within their body and the situation triggered the anger. And that emotion then signals thoughts that then makes them even more angry. So working with the body, it's like, okay, like this is the level that we really need to be considering. There's a level of like, yeah, we need to understand how the mind works, how our thoughts work, and have a good understanding of the subconscious mind and how our belief systems work, and having the conscious awareness of what's happening and why things happen, and being able to tune into the moment, things like that. But what's most important is developing that relationship to tune into your own body. There's so many people really struggle with this. And the journey and process I'm going through right now is me allowing my body to fully feel the grief and sadness that's there. and having the awareness to stay tuned and grounded in my body while I allow my body to feel that without me taking off, basically. Because we can go through this journey where it's like we feel and feel and feel, and we just we start losing ourselves a little bit. We start becoming a little bit ungrounded, a little bit victim to the feeling, right? And it's being able to come back to you. It's like coming back home, keep coming back home. And how we can do that, some simple practical ways to do this is through breath. As I said, as we spoke about before, breath work is one of the greatest tools that I love to teach my clients. And that's a very big practice in my life that I use every single day. And there's range when it comes to breath work. We can go deep into the transformational holotropic breath, where we get experience full somatic releases, where we are just not even we're just fully in our body, and we get to release things we didn't even realize were there. To the other end of the scale, where we use the breath to just drop back into and regulate our nervous system in the moment. And when it comes to the healthy, conscious, masculine energy as well, it's being able to be the safety and grounding and support for the people around you and for yourself first and foremost. And if you can't regulate your own emotions, then you're going to be dependent on other people or things outside of you to regulate your emotions, right? And when you do that, there is no way that you're going to be that grounded, supportive person for yourself or for other people. So being able to regulate our own emotions, breath work. I love tuning into the breath. It's the first, it's like the remote control to our nervous system, right?
Love
And
that.
yeah, so through the breath, we can tune into our body and actually listen to what our body is trying to speak to us. There is some profound wisdom that we have in our body, right? When we look at the subconscious mind, the conscious analytical mind is only around 10 to 15% of us. The rest is subconscious. The rest we're unaware of. It's underneath the surface, right? So being able to tune into the subconscious mind is being able to tune into your body and listen to your body. And how we do that and how we can do that is through quietening down the conscious thinking mind through the breath, through the nervous system. So literally just like you can do it right now, just tuning into your breath, like breathing in through your nose, just consciously connecting to your breath and becoming aware of how you're breathing in the moment, becoming aware of how in tune you are with your breath. And the more in tune you become with it, the more you can actually feel your heart space. A great way to tune into your heart space is to imagine perfectly in the center, left and right, front to back, right in the center of your chest, just like this glowing ball of energy right in the center of your chest. And just breathing into that, allowing that to expand and breathing into that and just tuning into that and keep coming back to that, keep coming back to that. And you just keep tapping into that. The more you develop, and as we know, where our focus goes, energy flows. So the more energy, more focus we bring to our heart space, the more and more we're going to be able to listen to it, right? So the first thing I come back to is tuning into that space within me. And then asking myself the question, from this place, what decision would I make? From this place, what would I do here? From this place, what is it that I need most right now from this place? And majority of the time, it's usually the thing that we fear most. It's usually sometimes the answer, it's like, oh, I'm just going to pretend that answer wasn't there. And I'm going to use my mind to rationalize and justify the answer that actually came through. And this is why it's like having a coach, having a mentor, being in a group of people that can hold and support that and help you guide your own ship. Because here's the thing, especially in relationship, and I do a lot of work when it comes to relationship, is so many people are communicating or setting boundaries. Like we've all heard setting boundaries and communicating needs in relationship. Most people are communicating and setting boundaries from the place of their ego. It's not from who they actually are. And over time in relationship, they slowly lose themselves. They slowly become someone who they're not, and they become unfulfilled, unhappy, right? And then the relationship turns to shit, and they start seeking love within the relationship, from the relationship, not just being it themselves. They seek it from it. And this is simply because people don't know who they are. They truly don't understand and have tuned into who they actually are in their heart space. And when we can make decisions from this place, we can't go wrong. We literally can't go wrong, right? The egoic mind is designed only to keep us safe. That's all that's all it's for. It's to keep us safe and fed, right? It doesn't have our best interests in heart. It doesn't like, our brain wasn't created for us to be happy and successful. Right? It wasn't built for that. It was built for us to survive and get through. So here's the thing. Most people are living a life that's comfortable and familiar to them, because what's comfortable and familiar is safe. Even if it hurts, it's safe. And that's all that matters. Right? So when we tune into our heart space, when we live from here and make decisions from here, yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable as fuck sometimes, because you're going against what the mind is trying to do. It's trying to keep you safe from a perceived threat, which is not even real. Fear is not real. It's a made up illusion that we create in order to keep us safe. And we normally think about, think about, right, in the head, about all of the worst things that could possibly happen to keep us safe. And that's what we call anxiety, right? This is where depression comes from. And when we are able to tune into our heart space, it's like, yeah, we step out of that comfort zone. We step out of what's familiar. We step out of what's perceived as safe into something that's unfamiliar and uncomfortable, but what's most true. And when we live from that place, we start making, we open ourselves up to greater opportunity, greater depths of love, right? And here's the thing, the journey of listening to our heart, the journey of that is moving through all of the things that are preventing you from living here, which is then uncovering all of the shit that you've placed on yourself in order to be a certain way, to be perceived a certain way. And that's the journey. Like, listening to this and making decisions from this place will challenge every part of your egoic mind that you've built to keep you safe and familiar and comfortable. So this is the journey of coming back to our heart. But the most practical way that we can slowly start tuning into that is through the breath and through bringing our awareness to this place, back to this place, and making decisions from that place.
Yeah, love that. And I think there's a lot that goes on in our mind, and we're constantly bombarded by information and people and different agendas. And I know so many times in my life, it's like, I should do this, I should do that. And then it's just this like logical way of thinking, or you follow some logical path that makes sense, but there's something like inside that doesn't feel connected, because that's your heart, and that's, you've not been listening to that. So yeah, and I also I like what you said about like the breath work is the remote control for like starting to connect to that deeper part of you. So that's beautiful. One kind of last thing I really wanted to touch on, and you've touched on it a little bit already, but it's this, I know it's something you look at. It's like the masculine and feminine energy part of us, right? And I know, like, there could be a stereotypical view that like all men are dominant masculine and all women are dominant feminine, but that's not the case. We know we both got, or whatever gender we identify as, we've got like both that masculine and feminine capabilities. For you, could you tell us a little bit about what you understand by, or from your view, what the masculine energy is, what the feminine energy is, and perhaps how we work with both of them to get the best out of them and ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of depth to this. Like I literally take people through a 12-week journey on integrating their masculine and feminine. But in a nutshell, yeah, you're absolutely right. We all have these energies within us. And around 80% of women tend to have more feminine energy, and around 80% of men tend to have more masculine energy. And that's based on our biological makeup, because life is about balance. Life is always trying to come back to balance and harmony, right?
Mm.
Which is what we call polarity. There's the opposite. There's always the opposite. When we look at the positive, the negative, left, right, up, down, light, dark, right? There's always the opposite. And life is trying to always come back to balance and harmony. So when we have a male and female, right, life wants to bring us together as masculine and feminine, so we actually procreate and reproduce. That's why men are attracted to women. That's the attraction. It's what's called sexual polarity. So that's the outside dynamic of masculine and feminine, but the polarity of it, the balance of it, the harmony of it is within everything. Like I said, light, dark, hot, cold, positive, negative, it's within everything. The yin and yang, that's masculine and feminine, right? We have the sun and the moon, right? It's an energetic makeup, right? So when we look at energy in general, the energy, everything that's happening, the flow of life, the dance of life, the chaos of life, the movement of life, everything that's happening is the feminine energy, right? The feminine energy is the expression of life. The masculine energy is the awareness of that expression. It's the support of that expression. It brings that expression into the physical, right? This is why the masculine is more of the physical. It brings that feminine expression into the physical. So integrating and balancing the masculine and feminine within ourselves, first and foremost, right? So then we can show up as our true selves in life. So how that looks is the feminine within us, male or female, is your true expression of who you actually are from your heart, right? The feminine energy is about expression. It's about love. It's about nurturing. It's about speaking your truth. It's about setting boundaries from your truth. It's basically just like being fully in touch with the felt sense of the expression of energy that wants to come through you moment to moment. This is why when we look at people who are very feminine, they're very expressive. They love creating, they love playing, they love laughing, they love singing, dancing, moving, all of these things. They're very expressive within the feminine energy, right? So we have that within male or female. Then bringing the masculine energy to that is bringing the structure to it, right? So when we look at someone that's heavily in their masculine energy, they have lots of structure. They're very rigid. They live like this box life kind of living, right? So bringing the integrator masculine to your own inner feminine is bringing awareness to what's going on in your body. It's bringing the presence to what's going on. Remember, it's the awareness of the energy of it itself, the feminine. So bringing the awareness to that is then bringing, for example, the feminine is about creating, creativity. It's what wants to come through the body. Then the masculine is we use that creativity and we create vision and we direct that energy somewhere, right? So we bring awareness, we bring structure to the creativity and we direct it somewhere. This is why, so when we look at someone who has clear vision, who is a visionary, who has clear direction as to where they're going, right, is able to be in tune with their feminine, with their heart space, to be able to create structure and awareness and presence around it to know where they're going with that, right? The feminine, and then there's the bringing the structure and awareness to the emotions Emotions is the energy. Emotions is the feminine. It's what wants to flow through the body, right? It's what wants to happen. It's the expression of what wants to flow through the body. And the masculine, the healthy masculine, that is having the awareness and presence of what wants to flow through the body. So as I said before, the journey of having integrated masculine and feminine is being able to have healthy, grounded, masculine leadership, self-leadership within yourself to allow yourself and guide yourself through feeling your emotions. And so many men have completely disconnected from their emotions in general, disconnected from their feminine. And by doing that, we disconnect from the feminine in our life as well. We disconnect from showing up for our feminine woman partners, right? And same with feminine women, they disconnect from their feminine essence based on this masculine world that we live in these days. And they pick up this masculine shield of protection to keep themselves safe because men aren't stepping up into their potential. They've been so conditioned and they've become so surrendered and so disconnected from their heart, who they truly are, that they've become so untrustworthy that women now have to step into their masculine and be the providers and be the ones who get shit done. Right? So now we have a masculine world with masculine relationships, like people just butting heads, and it's like two positive energies go together. It doesn't work. They butt heads. It's like a magnet trying to put two positive ends of a magnet together. It doesn't click. We're out of balance. We're out of polarity. So this happens within our body first and foremost. That you notice how that disconnect happens within the body because we are not in tune with our own inner feminine and masculine energy. Then that reflects into our relationships. Then that reflects into our business, into our life, right? In every other area. We can become disconnected within the energies within ourselves, right? And then that manifests in our external world. And most people are living so out of tune, out of alignment with their own inner masculine and feminine energy. And they're wondering why their relationships don't work. They're butting heads with their partner, right? Why they work so much and they burn themselves out, right? Being heavily in the masculine, getting shit done, doing things all the time. That's all masculine energy. Doing, executing, planning, thinking, creating. Like that's all masculine, right? And they lack the recovery, the rest, the doing nothing, the feeling, being creative, tuning into their heart, expressing themselves 100% authentically, right? When we're out of balance, we become burnt out. Or if we're too much in our feminine, we don't get anything done, right? Because there's no structure to it. The best way to finish on this and to explain this is when we look at a waterfall, right? In order for there to be the beautiful flow and essence of this waterfall, right? The water itself, the flow of water itself is the feminine. It wants to flow wherever it wants to go. The water will do and go wherever it wants to go, right? The masculine energy is the structure and direction of that flow of water. So there can't be this waterfall. There can't be like this beautiful waterfall without, first of all, the feminine, the water, and the structure, the rock of the masculine, right? So they both complement each other. As I said, life's always trying to come into balance and harmony. Without the flow of water, without the structure, there can't be the waterfall. There will either just be structure and rock, or there will just be water, and the water will just go anywhere, right? So it's bringing this harmony and this balance back to ourselves, within ourselves, based on who we truly are, right? We were born in balance, right? Our full true expression is in balance. This is why when people truly come back to themselves, things just get easier. Life gets easier. Relationships get easier. Business gets easier because there's more flow, right? It's in balance and harmony. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's my brief overview of this work that I'm deeply passionate about.
Yeah, it's something we could talk about for, again, like probably hours alone just on that. And yeah, very fascinated. Like I personally can relate to it in examples when I've held the structure for my own emotions in my life and when I haven't. And then also with like females, whether that's a friend or intimate partner, it's like when I've been like in my head or kind of speaking from that place and it's not being trustworthy, but then also when I've like spoke my truth and really been there and then suddenly they get more vulnerable and trusting and it's closer, right? And then even if they've got quite a masculine working working face on, I found they go a lot more into she's got a lot more into her feminine and being able to relax. So yeah, it's a fascinating subject, and both again been guilty of both the good and bad, and it's all like learning, right? We're always ever evolving. So I know this is something you talk about a lot. So yeah, Ryan, yeah, again, really, I've taken tons of notes, really enjoyed our conversation today. And there's so much more value we could get out of you, of course. Where can the listener find out more about you if they want to get in touch? And I believe you got something coming up as well.
Yeah. So my main platform is Instagram. So it'll be in the show notes, Ryan
Yeah.
Moresby-White. Just go on there, and I put out heaps of value every single day. I run heaps of free events every now and then. I do deep dive calls with people one-on-one. But the most part is on the 8th of January 2024. I've got my next group intake coming up, and with that, we go deep into integrating everything and so much more that we dived into today. And yeah, with that, that's my life's work. That's what I'm so passionate about. And yeah, I've got a few more spots open for that. And yeah, my mission is to bring the right people into this space. And it will sell out. It sells out every single time. So if it's something that people want to learn more about or they're interested in, yeah, just send me a message on Instagram. We can chat more and see if you're a fit for this work.
Awesome. Yeah, be sure to link your Instagram up below. So once again, Ryan, a massive thank you for everything you shared today.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, you're in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.